Hey, muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, do allow me to thank everybody for you guys' words, prayers, and your amazing support from the Cora. I appreciate every one of you. Gracias. And to continue off on my story, just to move along and, just be able to put my whole message out there. Like I said on my last story, things unfolded the way they did out in Salinas Valley, which I eventually got the boot out of there back to Corcoran SHU, right? And I got there and you have to go through that little ritual that Judas got once you get to Corcoran, which is, they tend to act all tensed up right on you, which is look up, stay looking up, or all this BS they run on you. Then I eventually they shot me back out to AR, right? But this time I went to 4 left. And, the minute we got palabra out there, we were told by Inyo and Wolfie that old man from King Cobras had said everything to go back to normal program, right? Which was Hago Punta, but everybody was already set. So what that meant was that I needed to get back to 4 right to keep everything aligned the way it was, because, well, the avenues were already set, right, to communicate to the blocks and well, you guys get it, right? But a lot of things were happening at this time, right? It was like everything hit at once, right? For example, I had a homie that had real solid palabra on B yard. He was the homie Travieso from MS, right? And just one day I went out to medical and the homie that's black, Speedy from Torrance, he gets at me and he tells me, hey, look, fool, he's not to be trusted no more, keep him close. Which luego I knew what it meant, right? Which was keep someone solid with him at all times, because as soon as palabra hits the fan, it's boogie time, right? To be sincere, that's all I knew, right? That's all he really needed to tell me, right? There was no need to go into detail when it was coming directly from them. So again, the homie from MS moved in with him. He was a celly, but the homie that moved in with him was a homie from Frisco, right? But he was a lifer, well, he filled in all the criterias, to in case something negative came back to go ahead and deal with it, right? Without having to go through all the extras of doing all the extra moves and stuff. Well, you guys get it, right? So within what, 2, 3 weeks, it came back down that to go ahead and deal with that, right? Because they been sending amapilis with him and they were just never getting to their destination. He wasn't even stating he was amapilis were being sent with them, and I guess he was telling about the Zambia that yeah, I just talked to so and shot, which were it was just a bunch of lies that he was getting wrapped up into, right? Just to stay, I think is he was trying to stay relevant, right? Which is you're back there sat down and you don't want your name to go in the shadows, right? And be forgotten. That's mainly it. But anyways, work came back down and the homie from San Pancho, he moved, he did his thing. And it was like, like clockwise, the Judas did us esquina and they ended up moving me back to Fort Wright. I went to B section again. So anyways, I ended up being back there and everything went back to normal program, you know. But there's a lot of headaches going on, right? For example, there was zero tolerance on camaradas using, crystal. And for some reason, there was a pipeline or an avenue coming in where there was a gang of it on the yard, right? and whoever was being caught, using, they were getting dealt with no compassion, right? And over there in one block where Marty from Lomas was supporting, right, with it, there was two camaradas that they just couldn't hold their habit, and there was a point that needed to be made because they done a lot, for certain individuals, and well, they done their share, throughout the years, and but they were tweaking in the cell so much that they started tripping on each other, thinking that one another were going to stab each other to the point they were pinning each other down on the floor, and you know, literally, literally opening their teeth and checking it out a pedazo to move on the next, just some wild stuff was happening, right? And you know, shameful, whatever, but one of them was my personal homeboy from my neighborhood, my clique, my generation, right? Which someone else mentioned later to be his second in command in Folsom, right? But yeah, and this same individual, there was some issues with Artie and Folsom, right? And he was supposed to take Palabra out there, which at the end he didn't even get trusted with that because of everything that he was doing. So he ended up in New Folsom, but he just didn't take what he was supposed to. So now we were going to sit and wait for me to hit New Folsom because the plan was finish my SHU and I was going to get, I was going to try to get put up to New Folsom, right? And unfortunately, things just didn't go down that way. I beat my first validation because, like I said, it was boo boo points, right? It was, it was dumb things, right? But for those that have been hearing my story, I mentioned of an older Pili that they had put in the cell next to me, and you know, me as a sureño or camarada, if a señor asked, I'm obligated to reply, right? And those that don't know, you have to keep it a buck with them, right? Because anything could be used, right? So, anyways, without getting off track, right? When I was in Fort Wright, it wasn't even that much longer after I got there. IGI came back to my cell and told me like, "Hey, Alvarez, puff up, we gotta talk to you." And I straight up told him, I ain't cuffing up. Whatever you gotta say, go ahead and throw your lungs out right here. I could hear you. So basically, they told me they were hitting me with a new validation package, right? They needed more pictures. And I told them, nah, chale, you already have the pictures. I don't got no fresh tattoos, so pictures you got is what's on me, right? Which, I come from Northern California, so my strive was always to earn it and tagging on me what we were, right? So fortunately I have it everywhere on me. So, but again, it was campolero stuff, right? Camarada stuff. But nevertheless, it's well known, especially amongst the squad that these things, a lot of them take three signatures, right, for you to get on you, right, from three different beliefs. So, anyways, that's not even the point, right? This time around, the validation came back, and man, everything they could think of, they smacked me with it. They hit me with it. I'm talking about Garfield when he was my neighbor on the van. He was already taking a dive. He was going around Pinta from Pinta, and all the Billies thought he was going out to court, right, for his case, but he was really going Pinta to Pinta and recording conversation because he was giving it to the Federicos, right? Again, when he gave whatever information, my information to the feds, it didn't really mean anything, right? I mean, I was a nobody, right? I was a guppy in a shark tank, right? of what the feds wanted. But it was interesting to IGI, right? So they used that. They used termites. Termite turned out to be a big old weenie, even though he was related and he's been around, right? They used Osito's shadows issue on me and how it had to do with that. You know, all everything you guys can think of. And they even used Bullet and also issue when they moved on the Paisa, right? And the homie from Compton and the Paisa, they ricocheted back, right? On their orders. Everything you guys can think of. So there was just no way I was gonna beat the validation because there was recordings. First and foremost, there was kites. It wasn't like the last one that it was just a Billy's birthday and we all signed it and small stuff like that. But anyways, they hit me with it and eventually, it came back around and I knew I was just on borrowed time on AR, so you know, I started setting up things to the point where well nothing's gonna change. It's just now the person that's gonna have that whole side was gonna be the camarada Marty from Lomas, right? He was in a wheelchair, so the camarada was always out there medical and stuff, so he had better access, right? And within time they came and they took me to B yard and I had three right, you know. In three right, there was just so many camaradas that were with it. I was just there like an extra hand, right? You could say I was just close to the pili, but again, there was way too many pilis to even consider yourself to be anything there, right? Nevertheless, within 8, 9 months, it's the first time cancer came around, right? And that's why you gotta always keep your eyes on how things unfold, right? Because you gotta keep your eyes on a higher power that's always there, man. I used to be angry at the world and just, man, why this? Why God? That type of individual, right? That's where my mind was at this time. Anyways, during my workout, I eventually, right here on my side of my neck, from the back of my ear to my neck, I felt like it literally ripped that muscle, right? And again, I didn't want to be, I knew I couldn't just be going out to medical, so I tried to do what I thought I was supposed to do, right? Which was, buck up and see if it goes away, right? But nah, my celly was a Billy, he's an older one, right? From Hardy's neighborhood. And we had a lot of care for each other. I know everybody, a lot of people are gonna hate me, but we literally had a lot of care and love, right? This is how sick I was in this time. I want you guys to please pay attention. But anyways, Ruben or Night Out, he he's telling me go, but I'm like trying to be tough, but the pain was off the hook, right? So I eventually just gave in, right? When I felt my shoulders and my chest just getting numb, right? And I ended up shooting a one time to Artie, and I told him, look, this and that, and he told me, go ahead, homie, go. So I ended up going, and you know, I want to be honest with you guys. I don't know if those that have been with me remember this part, but I went out there. They did a biopsy. Within a couple of days, they pulled me back out there, and there was two Judas, Miss Garcia, right, and another one. I'm just gonna keep her like that, right? And they walked me up in there, and the doctor tell me straight up, Mr. Alvarez, do you believe in God? And I straight up told him no. And he told me, well, start believing and start asking for him to forgive you, cause this, and that. You got lymphoma Hodgkin, stage 3. It's already, you know, uh, and I straight up told him, just I want to be as sincere as possible, right? And never came on here claiming to be a nice guy, right? Because I wasn't. And I told him, you know what? As your God, take me back to my cell. And they wouldn't listen, so I eventually, when you're in the SHU, at this time you have to have two officers, and one has to be holding on to you at all times. Once they weren't paying attention, I stood up, and they had no option but to start walking me back, right? And on the way back, this lady, Miss Garcia, starts telling me like, "Hey, guy, fight for your life." And I straight up told her, I told her, what life, and I told her nah. And she kept and kept to the point where I said, "Look, Miss Garcia, look around you. I got life. I'm validated at this time." There was no such thing as when you getting out the SHU, right? You were validated, you were stuck. Unless you took that walk, right? Which honestly it wasn't in my playbook. And I told her sincerely, you might call me a coward, but would you fight to keep living like this? Or would you take the way out? I take it as a given, right? And she put me in my cell, and without BSing you guys, every time she fed breakfast or in my lunch tray or my breakfast tray, excuse me, she would put a Bible, and I would see it and I would laugh. And when I gave her the trays back, I would put it back. By this time, I had not seen my family, right, in a long time, because my mom wasn't permitted to come in, because, well, I don't want to get into details, but my jefita got into some things, and she had attempted murder on somebody, and she wasn't being approved, right? So I had not seen him in a long time, since county, right? And I remember one day it just start racking my door, and they tell me, Alvarez, get ready, you gotta visit. And I told him, nah, chales, go double check that. It ain't me. So he went double checked, and he racked my door again, and yeah, it's you, and I wasn't expecting a visit, but when I walked up in there, it was my jefita and my kid, right? Not, and my jefita's from a rancho out in Michoacan, so she was raised tough, right? To speak tough, to be tough. So she straight up told me like, "Estás pendejo, okay?" That type of thing. That you got cancer and you're not gonna fight it. She knew the whole get down, and it hit a chord. Seeing your jefita cry, and and my son, time flies. I'm just gonna say that, and after so much time, your son has suffered from that accident, and from his jefita, and me being in jail, and just everything bottled up, right? And anyways, not to make it long, my heifer made me promise her that I was gonna at least try. She told me straight up, look, Robert, if it's your time, it's your time. Because us, again, she was from a rancho, right? She's like that. And my mom, just to give you a little back note, she was one of them ladies that didn't cry, never told you she loved you. One of them hard ladies. She said, but it's always been about your game, your game, your game, and give me your palabra, you're gonna at least try. So to make a long story short, I told her in that visit that I was gonna try, I was gonna put my side, my end, on my end, I was gonna try. And as you guys know, I keep my palabra. If not, I'll just straight up say it straight out, como son las cosas, how things are supposed to be or are gonna be. There's no need to beat around the bush. So it just happened. Miss Garcia went to pick me up and she was laughing. I don't know what she did to get my heifer to be approved. Sincerely, I don't know what she did, because we had tried for a while. But anyways, she was laughing, and when she was taking me back to myself, I just told her, "Wow, you're something." And she goes, "Nah, it ain't me. It's God." And I still was that person. What God? But anyways, tell the doctor to go ahead and to pull me out and let's do this. So then I shot the paperwork to A, and I told him, "Look, it's this and that. They want me to handle it." He okayed it, and at the time, as I stated, my celly was a Billy. So I went out. They put the portal path, and they started giving me the chemo, right? But I'm not saying this to. I'm trying to put this out there to show you guys how God, or however however you perceive your higher power, right, works in mysterious ways. Look, at this moment, even though I didn't see it, I didn't recognize it, he was working through a CO, right? When in reality, I didn't deserve it, not one bit, right? And I didn't take it too hard, or I didn't appreciate it for what it was, because as you guys see, but anyways, to put this one to a close, something happened within the time I was doing chemo. It's the first time I experienced. I went from doing burpees all day, push-ups non-stop, to not being able to do 10. So many times I remember I just laid out on the concrete and just bowled up and just, man, it was the first time I recognized every vein on my body, right? Because it ate. But that didn't stop me. I was in that too much into that mentality that, again, God, right? In my case, is Jesus, right? But at this time, there were some bulldogs at the end, and there was a bulldog next to us. And the bulldog next to us, he was a cell soldier, right? But a bad one. He banged on the wall all night, on his seat. He barked on the tier. He will come out, take that stroll to the showers like he was shadow boxing and calling people out his name. And, just one of them J cats. So it got to the point where there was a cool CO up in the tower that, hey, got at him like, hey, you know, could you give us some esquina and to shut this fool up, right? So anyways, it got to him to the point where he said Simone. So he came at me and you know, he asked me like, hey, one day for breakfast, will you go up in there and book the shit out of this fool? Excuse my language, right? I apologize for that, but anyways, and me being a dumb butt, right? I told him dispuesto, right? And sure enough, a couple days later, he racked my door a little bit, and it was right after breakfast, and I knew it was go time, right? So I pulled out that thing, and when they opened the doors, I ran out, and they opened his, and I ran out in there, and he was up all night banging on that toilet, so he was dead asleep after breakfast. So I jumped on him, and I did what I had to do until the Huda started ringing the door, and I walked out, and he told me that stool. And as I'm walking back to the cell from that Sally port, right? I guess the Huda seen me walking out that full cell and hit the alarm. So I took my time, went up in the cell, and I tried to get rid of that pedazo, right? But it was too big. I couldn't get it down the toilet. So eventually they got there. They told me, you're gonna cough up and come out, or you want us to spray you. And again, my consideration was on that old man, right? So I told him, no, Charlie, we'll cough up. Okay, At the end of the day, I'll take the rap for it. F it. We were both lifers, so I knew he wasn't tripping either. And anyways, I want you guys to hold on to this because this play a big factor in my technicality, right? But anyways, throughout the whole time, they see me in black and white that I'm alive, so they never pick up anything, you know. But this time, Corcoran picked it up, and once I went out to court, they could only get me for the pedazo that I couldn't flush, because even though that fool was a J cat, and again, I don't know what status he was in, nor am I trying to disrespect, you know, the Bulldogs, because he and I talked to the other Bulldogs and they didn't behave like this, right? But he kept his mouth shut, right? He didn't say nothing. So they could only get me for that. So I remember my first court, my lawyer told me like, hey, they're offering you a sweet deal. It was 3 or 5 years with another strike. And, I'm just being sincere, right? I told Charles I like this little bus drives, out the Pinta. What can they do to me? I'm validated. I got life. I'm fighting cancer. Fight them. Fight them all the way. Haven't spent time and money on me, you know. And it went on like that for another one, two courts. No, two courts. And then just something happened that would, well, that's gonna make me look like a PS with everyone, right? But I want to be honest, so I want to get to it. Please don't lose track of this incident right here. But for this one, I won't go ahead and cut it here. For those that my message is, right? For those that think that you're going to go up in there, going to touch your heart. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but, I'm going through chemo. I'm struggling. And that one they call up to bat. And I didn't mind. Believe you me, I didn't. I was happy a darle. It was me, right? But again, before I go, I ain't glorifying this life because the main message I want to put on here, there's no loyalty there. It's a bunch of suffering and heartache. Things that you think are told that are like, it's nothing like. You're going to go sit down and nothing but sit down and be ruled by tyrants that are not going to care not one bit about you. So value those that actually care from the heart and stay true to yourself and loyal to your loved ones. God bless y buenas noches.